Salutations viewers, my name is Game Dame and welcome back to another one of my Legends of Runeterra patch notes review. And today we have 2.18.0, which was released on 10/19/21, so I'm a little late, so I apologize. But this, as always, I'm going to read off the beginning paragraph, and here we go. So this patch kicks off between worlds, ranked season, and with it comes major update on live balance, a variety of card updates, and some quality of life changes and bug fixes. Let's get to it. So an update on card updates. So they promised back at the launch of Beyond of Bandlewood that they would get a few card updates in this patch. And they want to share an update on the overall philosophy and targets of live balancing before moving forward. So in this TLDR they have, we feel that live balance updates are important to improve LOR's overall player experience, and so moving forward, expect to see regularly occurring scheduled card updates targeted towards impacting the meta, nerfing clear overperformers, buffing underperformers, and generally improving deck diversity. These updates will be staggered in between expansion releases. The card updates in this patch were built using their updated philosophy, so you can expect something similar in the scope and priority in the upcoming patches as well. So what do they mean by live balance philosophy? They use this terminology as they're all on the same page and what exactly it means. So for the LOR gameplay team, their live balance philosophy is to have that set of principles that determines what could or should be changed, and how or when it should happen, why it should happen. And the live balance, where they put quotations in live, because their changes largely determined by data from gameplay on their live server and on top of surveys and player feedback and their gameplay analysis team. And that is what they mean that they have for their live balance philosophy. So they take all aspects into changing something before they go in and change it by multiple team members and feedback from the community. So that's what I think is incredibly important to note. So if you guys have an issue with it, make sure to submit your feedback. So how are they going to be supporting live balance moving forward? What they're going to be doing is organizing a process to refining their priorities, so they'll have something consistent for impacts pretty much. Sorry, that's how I meant to say it. So they'll be planning for regularly scheduled balance patches to hit between expansion releases. And to avoid significant balance patches immediately upon expansion's release, this will inherently impact the existing meta and can take time for things to develop and settle. So for example, they have the 2021 roadmap here, Lab of Legends, the Saltwater Scourge, which was July, and right now that was how they started: July, August, September, October, November, December. So we're going to be taking a look at October, November, December, and they have already we're pretty much at the end of October, or by the time this video goes up, it's already going to be November. So we're going to be focusing on November, December, where it has the major PvE expansion, mega event pass, new themed event, and then in December we have new expansion, magical misadventures, seasonal tournament, and new rank season start. So why are they updating this live balance philosophy? So it's more I love the way they put this too when I read it. So put it simply, it's more fun this way. They don't want to actively punish decks that are performing well, and they know it can be a drag, and I know it is totally a drag to face a deck that is constantly kicking your ass. But that's not necessarily a new philosophy, but what is changing is the rate and consistency of changes moving forward directly to address that particular pain at a faster pace, pretty much, instead of you waiting for the next huge patch release. This patch is their first crack at a set of new cards updates under their updated live balance philosophy, so it should serve as an example to look for moving forward. So they're going to tone down some cards that are overly impactful in the current meta, reduce frustrating matchups, encourage greater region diversity, and improve overall quality of life for some underplayed champions and archetypes, and encourage experimentation. So that is what their live balance philosophy is going to be from here on forth. So fret no further with those incredibly raged, those type of decks that are just so in your face 24/7, that are incredibly overpowered. You will no longer have to worry about them for a longer period of time because they will be tackled. So let's get to the card updates. So we have some card updates here. So these are the champions. So for Nami, Apparently, she was a little too explosive when leveling up as early as round 4, so they're increasing her level up requirement to slow her down a bit. So her level up requirement was you've gained 7+ spell mana this game, and now you've gained 8+ spell mana this game. So that is her level up requirement. And that does make her a little bit harder to use, but she still is a very powerful card. And then for Draven, we have his base stats level 1 were changed from 3-3 to 3-2. And his level 2 was 4-4 to 4-3. So they're bringing down his health to make sure he's not completely overpowered, because he is a pretty hard champion to go against. Now they have their next set of changes for champions in this patch that focus on quality of life updates who could use a little extra help. That would be Tristana. So level 2 Tristana now grants herself impact as well as her allies, which should definitely change the game and bring Tristana more in there. And Nocturne. Level 2 Nocturne now retains Nightfall, grants an enemy vulnerable, and give enemies -1, -0 this round, which is pretty sick. I really like that update for Nocturne. And that was his level 2. Echo's level 1 is you've predicted 5+ times, now you've predicted 4+ times, so it's just 1 less, so that's a buff for him. Aurelian Soul, so level up requirement was round end, your allies have 25+ total power, then round end, your allies have 20+ total power. So that's his level 1, which will lessen, it's a bit of a nerf to him. I'm just going to say buff or nerf just to make it easier instead of me going into it. For Renekton, his level requirement is I've dealt 12+ damage, and now he deals 10+ damage, so that's a little bit of a nerf. For Lux, her base stats were 6 cost 4/5, but now she's a 5 cost 3/5, which is not really that big of a change, because they not only did they bring down her attack, but they also just brought down her cost. So she is still a decent card for her price. Same thing with her level 2. Her change, though, is Final Spark can be cast to directly attack the enemy nexus if they have no units on the field, which is very good to keep in mind now that they've made that change. So remember, if you're playing Lux, keep that in mind. With Quinn, her base stats are level 1 were 3-4, now they're 3-5, and her level 2 is 4-5 to 4-6, so she got a bit of a buff. And Braum, his base stats were 0-5, now buffed to 0-6 for his level 1, and now his level 2 are 1-6 to 1-7. So that just makes him a little bit more formidable and a little bit more annoying. Now, from the champions, we have our follower spells and landmarks. Sparkle Fly, the cost went from 2 to 3, so a little bit of a nerf. Twin Blade Revenant, keyword challenger is now fearsome. So I don't know whether or not this is good or bad, but I'm going to read what they said for it. So Twin Blade Revenant was proving a bit too effective at shutting down enemy boards, so they're swapping out challenger for fearsome to retain Revenant's role as a recursive threat. I like that. I think that is extremely helpful and will make it not as hard of a card to deal with. I think that's good. I think still it fits in with the theme of Twin Blade Revenant. Tenor of Terror, base stats were 2-3, now it's 1-3. So, and then base of Burden is 3-2 to 3-1. So they both got a little bit of a nerf. Apparently they said they were too effective. In Relentless Pursuit, they are increasing the cost from 3 to 4, but they're changing it now, grants a target ally +1/+1, which I think warrants the cost change, which I think would be a lot cooler and a lot better, especially what they say here for counterplay against aggressive rally decks. I think that's a buff. Stone Stackers, the base stats are 2-2 tough impact, now they're 2-3 impact, which is 2-2 tough impacts 2-3. So they got rid of tough, so now it's just impact. It's no longer gonna, I think that was pretty strong before. This is a bit of a nerf to the card. This is a nerf. Aloof Travelers, base stats are 3-4 to 2-3. That's a bit of a nerf. A little bit easier to deal with. And then now we have Moon Dreamer, which is 3-5 to 3-6. A little bit of a buff. Lunari Priestess is 2-1 to 2-2. A little bit of a buff. Solari Priestess, a little bit of a buff as well, from 1-2 to 2-2 for base stats. Then they have Ravun Daylight Spear. Base stats were 5-5, now they're 5-6, a little bit of a buff. The Scourge Challenger, now is Challenger Overwhelmed, so this card will see a lot more play, especially in a Celestial deck. Now they have Haha, now they're giving people more reasons to love dragons again. Dragons clutch. So before it was draw 2 different dragons or grant dragon allies +1/+1. Now it's draw 2 different dragons or grant dragon allies +1/+1 and overwhelm. So not only do you have the choice still to draw 2 dragons, but you can also buff your allies with not only a +1/+1 but an overwhelm, which I think is a buff, a good buff. Ruined Dragon Guard got a buff from base stats to 2/4 to 3/4. I think that's a good buff. Herald of Dragons is 1/1 to 1/2, which is a decent buff. And then now they have some miscellaneous buffs. So Faces of the Old Ones, 0/2 to 0/3, to help revitalize what they said Freljord ramp decks that have fallen by the wayside. Vanguard Sergeant, which is 3/3 to 3/4 now, which is a decent buff to it. Destin Ada. Damage dealt to all enemies scales with darkness damage increases. So it says Destin Ada's effect was inconsistent with similar darkness effects, so they've addressed that issue with this change. So those are all the card updates with champions, father spells, landmarks, and some miscellaneous cards. So they do have a labs update. As mentioned in 2.17, they're going to be bringing out new experiments. Lab of Legends, Saltwater Scourge, and Ultra Rapid Draw will be cycled out in 2.19 on November 10th. So be sure to earn your Malphite and Gangplank card backs before that happens. Round start effect update. All round start effects now resolve before game ending or unit killing effects. So prior to patch 2.18, round start effects resolved for the active player first. In practice, this meant the match with 2 players with full bandle trees would have active player's bandle tree to resolve first, ending the game. So this change makes round start effects consistent with the rules of round end effects, which resolve the same way. Then we have miscellaneous, and then, you know, good old bug fixes each and every time. So I think this is a pretty solid update, especially with their live balance philosophy. I think that's the most important thing that they have noted in this update, and I think moving forward will make the balancing a lot easier to maintain, rather than, you know, how Riot's balancing is with regular League of Legends. This is at least a little bit more manageable. So let me know in the comments down below if you guys agree with these patch notes, or how have these patch notes been for you so far since it's released. But that is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I highly appreciate your time as always, but please do not forget to subscribe and or follow, not only to my YouTube but to my Twitch. You guys know where my YouTube is at, but you can find my Twitch at twitch.tv/thegamedame. Thanks guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.